The Bronx is this beautiful, beautiful place. It's the only part of New York City connected to the continental United States. Zohran is my colleague in the New York State Assembly. I think that he has inspired young people, right? He had the largest increase of voters between the ages of 18 and 25 that we've seen probably since Obama on a national level. Well, Islamophobia is one. That's the fact that he is of the Muslim faith, that's they're calling him a communist. He is not a communist, right? There is a very big difference between a communist and a democratic socialist, right? A communist is someone who utilizes the National Guard to overtake the city of Washington, right?
Welcome to Behind the Veil, a video podcast powered by the national nonprofit media platform, American Muslim Today. Today we're joined by New York State Assemblymember Landon Dais, who represents District 77. Born and raised in New York and now living in High Bridge, Dais brings a wealth of experience and dedication to public service. He assumed office in February 2024 after winning a special election and went on to secure re-election that November. A proud Morehouse College graduate with a BA in Business Management, Dais also holds an MS in Real Estate Development from Columbia University and a JD from Hofstra Law School. Before entering the Assembly, he built a career as an attorney, blending legal expertise with a commitment to his community. Thank you for joining us today, Landon Dais.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so just to get us started here, will you tell us about why you decided to run for the current office that you hold, the NY State Assembly, and the constituents that you serve in the Bronx?
Sure. The reality is I had no intention of being in public office. I'm a lawyer. I was consulting my own business. Was doing well. I was actually recovering from knee surgery when LaToya Joyner resigned, and I had volunteered to help find her replacement. I did not lobby for the position. Basically, the former assembly member LaToya and my city councilwoman Althea called me and asked me to run. They were like, Landon, we need someone. There was likely they knew it was going to be a political challenge from a Congress member putting somebody that he wanted from another district in this area.
Right, and what are some of the main issues that come from your constituents in your community?
Sure, so I represent the Southwest Bronx. Just think around the Yankee Stadium area. I know you guys, I think, are in Texas, so people might not know New York that well, or New York City specifically. But if you probably ask a bunch of people who are outside of New York City, what is the Bronx? A lot of people will be like, oh my God, you live in the Bronx. And the Bronx is this beautiful, beautiful place. It's the only part of New York City connected to the continental United States. And we have some tremendous history. We have some tremendous people and communities. We also have some of the poorest. And my district is one of the poorest, not just in New York, but in the country. So when we talk about the issues facing the people in my communities, regardless of racial background, religion, we're talking about housing, we're talking about education, we're talking about economic opportunities, we're talking about affordability, right? In addition to that, which is now more on the federal level, I represent a large immigrant community. I represent one of the largest Dominican communities in the country. I also represent one of the largest and fastest growing West African community, mostly from Ghana, Guinea.
I wanted to ask about the current mayoral candidate, Zohran Mamdani, and if he is elected, he could become New York's first Muslim mayor. This week, he launched his 5 Bureaus Against Trump tour, where he is speaking against Trump's encroachment on New York. Do you believe Mamdani could possibly be a better mayor than Andrew Cuomo or current Mayor Adams?
Zohran is my colleague in the New York State Assembly. we agree on some things, we disagree on some things. Like if we were on the Democratic spectrum, right, he's to the left of me, but there's some things that him and I really do agree on and we worked on together. I think that he has inspired young people, right? He had the largest increase of voters between the ages of 18 and 25 that we've seen probably since Obama on a national level. And anytime you get young people excited again about the political and civic practices of our democracy, it's good for our country. It's good for our state. It's good for our city. I do think he's going to have some growing pains. Being mayor of New York City is not easy. A successful mayor means New York City is doing well. That means my borough, my district is doing better. And that is what I want.
Yeah, and just a little follow-up on him. You said that there are some parts of his policies that maybe you don't agree with, and I would assume that maybe these parts of the policies are where he's coming under attack from far-right media, MAGA, Trump even. What could be the possible motivation for these types of political attacks?
Well, Islamophobia is one. That's the fact that he is of the Muslim faith. That's we definitely know that's a big part of it. And they're using words that are incorrect, right? They're calling him a communist. He is not a communist, right? There is a very big difference between a communist and a democratic socialist, right? A democratic socialist is Sweden. A democratic socialist is Finland, right? Those are democratic socialist countries, right? Even Germany to a degree. Even ironically, there's other countries that we can use it because they have free healthcare in other situations, right? He's talking about affordability issues. Communists, I hate when people try to conflate something to try to make an argument, and it's an inaccurate argument, right? There's a big difference. Communist is someone who utilizes the National Guard to overtake the city of Washington, right? When you use national resources to create a police state in many ways, right? That's what a dictator, authoritarian, or fascist does, right?
Right. And I would like to move on to immigration. It's becoming a increasingly large issue across the nation. New York has the largest population of Muslims in the U.S., many of whom are either immigrants or have immigrant parents. Can you tell us if and how your community has been affected by the presence of ICE?
Mm-hmm. So we had an ICE raid right up about 2 blocks from my house. First thing we did when we saw everything happening, we had seminars. We gave out information, know your rights. We gave funding in the budget to legal nonprofits that help with legal services. And one of them was ensuring that immigration attorneys receive funding. I want to thank Speaker Carl Hasty, who made sure that was in the budget. Catalina Cruz, who's one of my colleagues, was a big advocate for this. Tony Simon, it was a bunch of people. It was a coalition. Additionally, we see it every day where people are afraid to come to certain public school events because there was rumors of ICE camping outside of schools. So we had situations where principals would call me and say, "Hey, kids are coming to my school without parents, right? And these 6, 7, 8-year-old, little kids, walking to school. I'm not going to have my 6-year-old walk to school by themselves." So imagine having to be a mother or a father and you have to make that decision that you have to figure out how to get your kid to school and back because you're so afraid to walk out your doors. The politics of fear has really taken some people in our community.
And finally, Landon, just can you tell us what maybe you have planned coming for your constituents in your community during your term?
Sure. So I am going to be focused on 2 huge things. One is the census, which is about to become a real big issue, where they want to make it that if you're not a citizen, you don't count in the census. And the Constitution says it counts for everyone. And someone who's a direct descendant of slaves, my family's been here since the 1700s. It's called, this thing called the 3/5 compromise, right? They talked about how they wanted to count the slaves because they tried to say they weren't citizens, so they weren't a part of it, right? The Constitution clearly states that the census now counts everyone. And they're trying to do that to target California and New York, right? Because we have large immigrant populations.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Dais, for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you for joining me on Behind the Veil. If you value our public service journalism, please support American Muslim Today, a 501c3 nonprofit, by following us on social media at American Muslim Today or donating at AmericanMuslimToday.com. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, I'm Maya Gaylor.